Thank you. And it's taken me many years to realize that while the lessons I learned from interviewing Larry were incredible, sometimes it was my journey on the way to get to these people that changed me the most. And the biggest thing I learned from that experience with Larry King is that the truth about persistence, the reality about how persistence actually works in the business world, is that we have as many at-bats as we're willing to give ourselves. We have as many at-bats as we're willing to give ourselves, and that's changed my life forever. Now, the big thing I want to dive into is this question of now that we all are on the same page about taking as many at-bats as we're willing to give ourselves. The natural response is we're going to take more swings, and that will naturally lead to more rejections. So I've created a tool that I want to share with all of you today that I want you to keep in your pocket at all times moving forward. And it's called the rejection inspection. It's called the rejection inspection. And this is a tool to help us realize that rejection in and of itself is not what we're afraid of. It's the pain that comes with the rejection that keeps us from following our dreams. And what the rejection inspection does is it helps relieve us of the pain so we can actually move forward with our biggest goals. So I'm going to run through it really quickly. There's 3 parts to the rejection inspection, and then I'm going to explain them. Part 1 is do a hard reset. Part 2 is realign the navigation. And part 3 is re-examine the engine. So I want everybody to take out, oh, you're already ahead of me. Take out your phone, take a picture. I'll pose really nice. Great. We'll make it look really good in the photos. Perfect. Okay, so now you have this in your phone. You have this in your phone. And again, this is yours to keep. You can share it with your teams when you go back home after MDRT, and I'm going to explain you them really quickly. So just like a car that has the check engine light coming on, and we all know what that feels like internally when our internal check engine light comes on after we face a lot of rejections. The first step, the first checkpoint when your internal check engine light has turned on after you've gotten a lot of rejections at work is take a nap. Go have some ice cream. Turn off your phone. Literally do anything you can to reset your internal system. Just like how a mechanic turns off the car and lets it cool down for 15 minutes, turn off your phone, turn off your computer, and give yourself 2 hours. What happens is about 80% of the time, all your problems go away. But every now and then, the rejection's really big, and you have to move on to checkpoint number 2. And checkpoint number 2 is realign the GPS. And what that means with a car is that sometimes the car gets turned upside down and it has to find out which way is forward. Human beings are exactly the same. Sometimes we get so rejected that we forget which way we're even driving. So what I recommend anyone who needs to use checkpoint 2 is when you go back home, back to your office, take out a sheet of white printer paper and get a marker, and in 1 sentence, write down the reason you started this journey in the first place. Write down the reason you started this journey in the first place in 1 sentence. And what that does, it reminds you what path you're actually on. And that doesn't make the rejection disappear. It just right-sizes the rejection and puts it in its place. That solves most problems, but sometimes you have to move on to checkpoint number 3. And checkpoint number 3 is the big guns. And it's re-examine the engine. And just like a mechanic needs to call in for a second pair of hands, this is where your mentor comes in. And I know MDRT is big on mentor. Big on mentor. And this is when you ask your mentor to help you out, re-examine your engine. And the engine of the human being, the engine of human beings is the story we tell ourselves about why something is happening. The engine for human beings is the story we tell ourselves about why something's happening. So, if the rejection has been bothering you for weeks or months, it comes down to the story you've given about what that rejection means. And it normally says one of 2 things. It either says, number 1, this rejection says something about who you are and your worth. I'm not good enough. I'm not handsome enough. I'm not clever enough. I'm not wise enough. I'm not lovable enough to achieve this goal. Or, number 2, the rejection says something about your future. I will never achieve my dreams. I will never reach my quotas. I will never get my goals. I will never become the person I want to be. And again, you need a second pair of hands, and that's where the mentor comes in, to help you examine that story. And once you become aware of it, it no longer has a hold on you. Now, MDRT, the reason I'm so passionate about all this, as we wrap up right now, the reason I'm so passionate about this is because not only are rejections an essential and natural part of the entrepreneurial endeavor, they're a natural part of any life of courage. I don't care if it's having a hard conversation with your spouse, if it's telling your kids something they don't want to hear. We face rejections, and sometimes painful rejections, anytime we go out and try something new. And my goal for the rejection inspection is that it's in your pocket at all times, and it gives you the courage to keep trying. And the biggest thing I want to share with all of you today is that after spending 12 years studying success, if I've learned one thing, it's that success and failure are not opposites. They're different sides of the same coin. The opposite of success isn't failure. The opposite of success is not trying. So if I have one wish for all of you today, if I have one invitation for you, it's that you uncommit yourself and unattach yourself from success and failure, and instead commit yourself to trying and growing, and that will change your life forever. Thank you all so much. It's such an honor to be with all of you. Such a pleasure. Thank you so much.